Hey guys, it's Orlando Santiago. Welcome back, and I have my model here, Adrianna. So if you've missed some of the videos, you should go back. I've done quite a few videos with Adrianna so far, including tattoo coverage and redrawing them. I've done a little bit of skin prep, so go back and take a look at some of those. But today we're going to talk about spring trends, basically how to do your makeup for spring. And it doesn't have to be necessarily in trend, what you've seen on the catwalks, what you've seen on the runways, but it could be something that's different from what you normally wear, and obviously a little bit more appropriate for the season. So obviously you're not going to wear something too dark or too dreary. You're going to actually go with the trend and go with the look and feel of what's in right now. Right? So what we're going to do is we're going to start off. Her brows are already done, right? And but I left everything else as bare as I could. And even though her skin is prepped, we're going to move right into complexion. So what I like to do and how I like to work when it comes to complexion is basically just creams and sheer, right? If anything needs to be built up, I will build it up. But she really doesn't have the need for that. And I want to keep it kind of radiant. So before, if you've watched the previous video where I did skin prep for her, she had combination skin. So I want to be careful not to give her too much shine or too much, right? So I went ahead and prepped her so that she still has a radiance, but she's not oily. She's not going to produce a lot of oil throughout the day. So what I can do is actually just grab a lightweight cream, right? That I'm going to use. That would be more or less something that she can use all over. It's kind of like a blanket canvas. Obviously depositing a little bit more into areas that she may need it. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to use a lightweight liquid foundation. So in that, and I like to do foundation before concealer because sometimes you don't need it, right? You don't need a ton of product. When you apply a veil of coverage, meaning with just a foundation first, then you can see the areas that are still kind of problematic or still have discoloration. Then you can go back with a smaller brush and actually fix those areas. I'm using a lightweight moisturizer, and I always like to go back in and start off with the brighter areas. And I'm going under the eye area and also on the cheekbones. Sometimes you don't need too much. All you need is just a good complexion, and you can actually go back and just use a lip balm and maybe a little bit on your cheek, a little mascara, and that right there could be your spring trend. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to dance lightly around the face, slowly depositing a little bit more coverage each time, but still blending it out. So in a spring trend, right, because we're transitioning, you want to look healthier, a nice little glow. You want to avoid as much powder as you can, right? Try not to use too much powder. And this, by the way, is the Ellis Foss foundation, which I love because it just creates a sheer veil of color that's very buildable. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this around and blend, continue blending. So what you do with a powder brush, with nothing on it, obviously, I'm not setting her makeup, but I'm actually taking the makeup, and what it does, it kind of polishes and removes the excess. So now we're going to switch over. If you can kind of take a look, see how the complexion is very, very even, right? Super even, right? It's just a beautiful canvas. Now I can really play and focus more on the colors. And that's really the objective here, is focusing on the colors because there's no distractions throughout the face. So now let's focus on eyes. Anything luminous, has a little bit of a sheer texture that you can build up, or shimmers, right? Beautiful shimmers that they don't really do anything but just kind of illuminate the eye area. You can play around with the depth a little bit, right, with darker colors. But let's bring some luminosity to the eye area. I'm really a fan of champagnes. I'm really a fan of golds. I'm really a fan of metallics. They work so well. Okay, so I'm going to actually show you with minimal color. I'm going to show you exactly how to create something that's going to pop. Okay, so right now I'm going to use two colors. This is kind of like a metallic silver. This is kind of like a brown bronze, sort of, okay? And I'm gonna start to really open up her eye area, okay, and just brighten it up. Now be careful with the shimmer because, yes, it is shimmer and it catches light really well, right? But you wanna make sure that you don't overdo it, okay? What do I mean by that? Well, if you bring it up too high up into the brow bone, then we're back in the 80s. And that's not cool, unless it's purposely done. And there you go, I'm just really bringing that up and just kind of dancing into the brow bone, but not really frosting the brow bone, okay? And we can really play with this. It just gives a luminosity, gives a nice color, right? So the combination of these two really work together nicely. And I just want to add a metallic pigment. Mix it in with your mixing medium. In this case, it's Aqua Seal. So I'm really focusing on the center, right? Right in the middle. Okay. And now what you can do is actually switch over to a smaller brush. Same technique, but now we're going to do it underneath. And the objective is to really open up her eye. So she has a smaller eye, right? So the objective is to really open it up as much as you can. So I'm taking this pigment and I'm really going inside the waterline and just basically the drop shadow line as well. Okay. Really beautiful, I love this. So now we're gonna actually play around with a nice warm palette, right? The warmer color, okay? And I'm tying that into warmth as in spring, but also warmth as in her hair color, but it's matte, no shimmer involved. And I'm gonna use this now to go back and sculpt in her eye area to bring out depth. So I'm gonna start off in the inner corner, right in here. Okay, so by me placing a darker matte right into the crease, it actually allows me to see more of the shimmer right next to it. It's no different than highlighting and contouring. When you're doing a cheekbone, if you really want your eyeshadows and textures to bounce and radiate off each other, all you have to do is put something a little bit more matte right next to something a little shimmery, and you'll start to see the result right away. All right, so now I'm gonna go back, get a smaller brush, and I'm going to start to detail the bottom of her eye. Okay, look up. And I'm going to tight line. Get right in here at the bottom and really work this shadow. Good. So now I'm bringing in the sultry part, right? By adding in that brown, orange, kind of that warmth, I'm bringing in the sultry, that sexy, but still luminous, right? Texture playing all over the eye. Okay, so now that the other eye is complete, just want you to take a look, right? Both symmetrical, there's beautiful colors. It's not really poppy as far as colors on the eye, but the texture is amazing, right? Definitely goes along with the texture of her skin, right? So what I'm gonna do now is really play up on the cheeks and the lips, okay? So I'm gonna just go back and really kind of revisit. I'm just gonna show you in a different light, but I really love how everything looks radiant. It looks very healthy, has a beautiful glow to it, right? So I'm really happy with the results. So now I'm gonna show you how to make your own blush, okay? This is important. Again, I can never stress enough the importance of knowing your color theory so that you can make and have that ability to create whatever you want, whenever you want it. So for example, I'm using one of these. It's a color cream palette. You can go back in. I'm using a smaller foundation brush, and I'm just gonna go back and pretty much kind of determine what I want to do. So I love this coral right here. Okay, it's a beautiful color. So I'm going to put this on my palette. I'm going to throw in a little bit of some gold. Okay, there's a little bit of gold with a little texture. Beautiful color. So I have like a really coral with a little bit of gold. I'm going to really swish and kind of blend the two together. Okay. But I'm also going to add just a touch of the mixing medium. Okay, and one drop right in the middle. So what that does, it helps to kind of shear it out and activate it so that now when I apply it, it'll dry nice and radiant, but it won't require powder. I really want to warm up her face, especially around the cheek area. So like I'm looking at this entire cheekbone and I'm just doing small little stipples, right? Stippling is just kind of patting and moving in motion, and I really want to warm this area up. And that's it. Like I literally pretty much just made my own blush, right? It's gorgeous, has a nice warmth to it. So now moving over to lips. So what I'm going to do is find the right lip liner, which I found it. It's kind of a soft, but still really understated, but still strong enough, kind of coral pink combination. And then I'm just gonna prep her lips, okay? So I'm gonna use a primer. Lip primers are always, again, amazing. They save your life if you just have a good lip primer, because this will actually hold, well, number one, hydrate your lips and condition them, but number two, it'll hold the product that you're putting on top. Awesome. So I know that there's still a little bit of a dewy, right? Sort of a little bit of shine in other places, but I'm gonna save that at the very end to kind of take down that shine. So now that her lips are prepped, I'm gonna go back in and really kind of introduce this warmth, and I'm actually filling in her entire lip with this lip liner. So last but not least, I'm going to add a beautiful lip gloss. Or I can show you how to create one once again. I think this is imperative that you understand the power of creating things on your own. So once again, we're going back to this color palette. I'm gonna choose my color. So what I'm gonna do is apply the lip conditioner first, right? This is the texture that I need, okay? But it just has no color. And now I'm going to add in a little bit of lips, right? So the colorless but texture. And now I can add in that same coral, right, from this palette. A little bit of gold. And a little bit of fuchsia, just to bump it up a notch, right? So I think this would be really nice. So now I'm gonna fuse the three together, or the four together, sorry. And all of a sudden, I have a lip gloss that you've created, that I've created, that you'd pay 30 bucks for, and I didn't pay anything for. And now we just have to apply it, and that's it. So what I like to do is I like to stipple it. Beautiful, okay? Look at that, something we created again. It's easy to create once you know what you're doing. So now that she's still a little bit dewy for my liking, but I love the finished result, okay? She had mascara, I never really touched it, so that's why it still looks nice and dark. However, I'm gonna go back with, the last step is going back with powder, just to take away the shine in the areas that you don't need it or want it, right? So I'm gonna go back in the forehead. Forehead doesn't require shine. I'm gonna go back in the nasal fold, right in here, and the rest of the face. Notice I'm being real strategic as far as highlights, and I'm leaving all the highlights right at the top, or the brow bone, top of the cheek. I'm not doing it on the lip. I'm actually gonna matte out the lips. And here's the other thing. You're gonna see more of the texture, again, of everything that I left dewy if I go back and really powder her out right next to it. You'll see the contrast in textures, which I think is great. For eyeshadow, I went ahead and applied texture, shimmer eyeshadow versus matte eyeshadow, playing them really next to each other, right? That, even though the colors were really subtle, it enabled you to see the eye and kind of maximize that eyeshadow and the texture of the eyes and bring them forward. Obviously very spring. Same thing with the skin. I went ahead and applied color on the cheeks, color on the lips, right? The complexion also was flawless, but the trick was going back with a powder, you know, a translucent powder that I was able to go back and take out the shine in areas that I don't want it, and also keep it where I did want it, just to create a nice radiant glow in certain areas so it looks more strategic and not sweaty or dewy anywhere else. So thank you, Adrianna, and thank you guys for tuning into this segment of obviously spring makeup and spring trends. If you've missed some of the other videos, please go back to different categories so that you can take advantage of all the other topics that we have, including live, including color theory, and all the other subjects that we have. So thank you guys, and once again, you can only find it here in New York City on my app. I'm Orlando. Take care.